In 2008, my grandmother became very ill with cancer. I helped take care of her at the end of life, the last few weeks of her life. The whole family came together. She had 8 children, 12 grandchildren, and we worked on kind of a rolling care basis. So every weekend, another child would come in and help take care of her. And it was the one time that I can remember that our entire family came together in one place for one reason. And it was a very sad time, but it was also a very uplifting time as well in some ways, because we were telling stories and we were really connecting as a family for kind of one last time around Grandma. After she passed in October of 2008, I realized a couple months later, after I kind of got over my fog of grief, initial grief, that I hadn't taken a single picture during that time, and I felt that I should have. It was a time of family togetherness, much like a wedding or a birthday gathering, and I hadn't captured it. So that's where the idea for Kindred Spirits kind of was sparked, because I felt like there had to have been other families that were experiencing end of life that would want those moments captured, those last moments. So I wrote up a business plan for it, and I brought the idea to Beloit Regional Hospice, and I volunteered my time. It was completely volunteer, and they loved the idea. So I started taking volunteer portrait sessions with families that were experiencing end of life, and it kind of took off from there. Even though I had the idea for the program, I didn't really know what to expect on my first outing as a volunteer photographer. So my first session was with a full family gathering on Thanksgiving in 2009. I didn't really know what I was walking into. It was at a tiny home in Beloit, and there was probably about 20 people in this home having a Thanksgiving gathering around a gentleman who was probably in his mid-60s, early 70s maybe, that was passing away from cancer. And he was obviously at the end of his journey. And so the first thing I do when walking into a volunteer photography situation like this is I speak with the patient. I want to make sure that they are cognizant of what's going on and that they're aware that they're going to be photographed and that they're okay with it. Usually the social worker from hospice has already spoken with them and their family, so I know going in that they're expecting me, but I want to make sure that they are aware of what the session is going to entail. So I try my best to be invisible. I want to capture actual moments, candid moments. I don't want it to be a posy portrait situation. I never bring external or off-camera lighting. I always do natural light with whatever I have. I just like the look of it, and I think it's less intrusive. So with this session, I probably spent about an hour with the family. I let them have their Thanksgiving meal. They sat around and they talked with the patient and told stories, and every once in a while the wife would give him a hug and she would motion to me to take a picture, and she would bring a grandchild over and plop him on his lap and want me to take a picture. So I was fully aware of what they wanted, but I still tried to stay as low-key as possible to capture the best, natural reactions from people in the moment. I think the value of the program is really clear. Case in point, I had a father that was likely in his late 20s, early 30s that had cancer, advanced cancer, and he knew he was going into a hospice program the following week. So I was contacted to take some portraits of him with his young son, who was about a year old. And the patient, the father, really wanted those portraits for his legacy, for his son. He wanted his son to know that he he loved him and he was there for him and he wanted everything in the world for him, because it was likely at a year old that his son would have little to no memory of being around his father while his father was alive. So I think the value of the program is shown there, where you can create this photographic legacy for your family, and while you're still aware of, where things are going, and, you're aware of that you're at end of life, and that's a totally different mindset, I think, for people, and they really see the benefit of the program in that. One of the most surprising parts of the program for me once it began was being able to provide portraits for people that may have never had a professional portrait taken before. I found that the majority of families that were contacting me via hospice were more low income, and once I arrived at their home, they let me know that this is our first professional portrait session, which was exciting for me because I was able to provide something for them that they had never had before and they had never experienced before. So when I do a portrait session with a family, or I do a candid session with them for hospice, I usually try to have the images delivered to them almost immediately. So I will bring them home, I will process them that day, and if they want prints, I will get those sent through my lab immediately, and my lab is Miller's Lab, and they're amazing. They have gotten things turned around for me within 24 hours. I will always deliver it to them in a nice little package that's wrapped up with a nice little bow, so it's like a gift. So I want that to be a gift from the beginning of the program to the end of their experience with the program. And a lot of these folks, they don't have, computers, they don't have access to digital files, so I always do print for them, so they have that tangible item that they can show to the patient before they pass away. I think one of the best parts of the program for myself is I never really know what I'm walking into. It's always a surprise, it's always different. From hospice, from the social worker, I'm usually just sent a name and an address. I'm given a little bit of information about what they have and how much time they maybe have left. But other than that, I never really know what the situation is. And that leads to some surprising situations, because not everybody has a big, huge family support system like I had with my grandmother. And so one memorable situation I had was with a gentleman that was passing away, and he lived with a friend in this little house, and he had a lot of cats and a dog. A lot of cats and one dog, and he wanted a portrait with each cat individually, because that was his family. That was his support system. He had no other family. He had his animals. Bringing them to him on his hospital bed in the living room and taking a portrait with each cat. And I turned that around within about 24 hours and delivered the portraits to him. And hospice received a call from his friend that he lived with after he passed that said that was one of the last things he did while he was still conscious, was look at every single picture. And that just made the entire program worth it to me, to know that those pictures meant so much to him at the end of his life, that it brought him a little bit of joy during his last days. I think one of the best personal benefits that I've gotten out of doing this program for the last 11, almost 12 years is it's really helped me with my own grief journey and my own bereavement from losing my grandmother. We were incredibly close. We went to college together. We were together almost daily. I named my daughter after her. She was an amazing woman, and losing her was one of the touchstones of my life journey that, I'll never forget the way that felt that day. And I think doing this program for other people and volunteering my time for other people that are in that process, knowing where I came from and knowing what that process is like and having some distance from it, really helps me in a in a personal way. So I think that's been an added benefit of offering this to people, is that it brings me joy to be with people at the end of life, knowing what that journey is like, and being able to let them have the peace of mind that their memories are intact and that they're captured and that they're delivered to them, so they can always have them.